This is the first episode of Fighting Games R, a separate podcast specifically for fighting games because Soon got sick of us talking about fighting games on the general podcast. This is a unique podcast because it's only been started because we have a persnickety anal retentive friend. Anyways, I'm Alex. That's Addy. Addy?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just used to freaking doing the bit.
Yeah.
After doing it for like 2 years, you just kind of get used to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because have we been doing that bit for like the entire time? I feel like it's actually only within like the last couple months.
What mean I'm not talking? Well,
Yeah.
we've been not for the entire time, but we've been doing it since like the 30th episode or something.
Yeah, I guess that might be the case. Which that is definitely a fucking while ago.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, if you don't watch the Shut Your Mouth Lounge, which odds are you don't, odds are you're probably not going to watch this one either because YouTube's recommendation system is not terribly kind to small-time YouTubers, such as ourselves.
Yeah.
But if you don't, I'm Alex, that's Addy. We've been friends for, 7 years now?
Yeah, around that.
And we've been running a podcast with our friend Pink for 2 years now. And Soon, of course, came in a couple months ago and now dominates the podcast. We're here to talk about fighting games because guess what? I love fighting games. Addy loves fighting games.
For entirely different reasons.
I mean, it's not terribly different. Well, kind of.
In some cases it is, yeah. Like not on every point, but on a lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of it, we can appreciate what we each other find interesting.
Yeah.
I've got an appropriate question, I think, for our first episode. What was the first fighting game you ever played?
Street Fighter 2, but actually I'm not quite sure because the first two fighting games that I played were Chinese bootlegs of Street Fighter Fu, yeah, that one, Street Fighter 2, and like Dragon Ball Shinbutoden, or one of them that was on the SNES. Both of them downgraded to the SNES or the NES.
Ah, right, you did mention that they were downgraded to the NES.
Yeah, I never had an SNES.
I can't imagine how Street Fighter 2 would work downgraded to the NES.
They actually adapted it pretty well. They just had to take out like 90% of the characters. So, I think the roster was Ryu, who, like, one of Ryu's colors was Ken. That's how it worked. Which, to be fair, actually kind of works. So there's that. They added Chun-Li, they had Guile, and they had Bison. And
that's all.
Yeah, I think that was the roster.
I can't imagine the NES's clunkiness working well with input motions.
Well, I think I had like knockoff DualShock controllers because I had a Chinese Famicom bootleg.
Oh, okay, so it was like it was an NES with stick?
No, not stick. They never actually did put in stick for those, but I had various controllers. I had a normal. I had I actually don't think I ever had a normal NES controller for my Famicom ripoff. I had a Game Gear not a Game Gear, what should I call it? Mega Drive controller, you know, the 6-button one?
Yeah.
I had those. I had normal DualShocks, like the first version that came out with the PS1. I had 6-button DualShocks. So I had fight pads before fight pads were a thing. Thanks, China.
Oh man.
You know, that sort of things. And let me tell you, playing Contra with 6 buttons was a thing, because genuinely, half of the buttons did the same thing.
Oh yeah.
So you could just choose how high you wanted you had your thumb.
They do that a lot with modern ports of like NES stuff. Because didn't the original NES only have 2 buttons?
Yeah.
Oh man, how far we've come. I feel like if there is anyone watching who hasn't watched our previous stuff, should we clarify that, like, you grew up in a post-Soviet Hungary?
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Oh man, and Hungary wasn't
Like
even one of the most.
I was born. I was born a year after the Soviet Union ceased to exist. I think. Like
I don't think you were born in
we
'92.
officially.
Unless you're
I
secretly a
don't
lot
know. Oh,
older than
never
I
mind.
thought you were.
Okay, never mind. I was mixing them up because I think we started being communist in '99 or something like
That
that.
would make sense if it would have taken like about a decade to get reforms in, because the
Yeah.
Soviet Union very much fell in like '92 or '91. And meanwhile, over here, I'm an American. I'm a dumbass American who grew up fairly wealthy. So, guess what? My first fighting game was Soul Calibur 2. So there's a big difference in like origins of our love for fighting games already.
Yeah, but like, if you wanna be pedantic about it, technically the first three fighting games that I remember playing were
When you beat up the other kids in the
SF2,
alley.
Shinbutoden. No, I actually never got to do that because of epilepsy.
Oh.
So yeah, Shinbutoden or whatever, SF2, and the third one was freaking Soul Edge or Soul Blade rather.
Oh man, ooh, that's the very first one.
Yeah, so it was either actually it might have been both Soul Blade and one of the earlier Tekkens.
Ooh, I mean, the easy way to tell which Tekken it was Jin there.
The only thing I remember is Mokujin in our golden room, so doesn't really help.
I don't think they introduced Makujin until Tekken 3, did they?
I don't think they did either, but I'm not sure.
I'll look it up just to
so
be safe.
it might have been Tekken 3
on my phone. But
because I know that a family friend, the first thing that he bought from his money was a PS1. So that's how I would have played those.
Ah, okay. Mokujin did debut in Tekken 3.
Alright. So yeah, so Soul Blade and Tekken 3, I guess.
Your first, like, real non-Chinese knockoff version games.
Yeah.
Huh. Alright. So, today's episode is that we're going to be specifically talking about a all-time classic fighting game, The King of Fighters 98. Now, I should specify, the version me and Addie have been playing is the Ultimate Match version. Which, I looked this up the other day. I did not know that the Ultimate Match version was released in 2008.
Oh, I kind of knew.
I don't do a lot of like historical research on like KOF, so I didn't know that the Ultimate Match, Unlimited Match, whatever versions came well after the originals. I thought it was like, Street Fighter 3, Second Impact, Third Strike, that kind of thing,
Yeah. I mean, the way I knew that it was released, like, I guess, comparatively recently, is that I looked it up for whatever reason, and the first three user reviews that I found were complaining about the fact that it was in Japanese. And how in this day and age you shouldn't release stuff in Japanese because whatever. Which
that's fair.
Got you covered.
That's fair, except that what version of this were they complaining about it being in Japanese? Because the version on Xbox is in English.
The version on Xbox. Legit that. They were complaining about the fact that the end match quotes were in Japanese.
Oh, that. Yeah, that's a weird complaint. Honestly, I'm more surprised that you don't consider that a good complaint. Like,
I'm fine with it, because the thing is, the Xbox version also has Neo Geo mode. Neo Geo mode is in English completely.
Oh.
So, and it only removes, I think, like 2 characters.
Mr. Big and Krauser, right?
I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe it removes Orochi and Gonitz. Fuck, I don't remember.
It might be those. I don't freaking remember.
I only opened the Neo Geo mode once.
I usually play it in Neo Geo mode because Neo Geo mode is the home version and freaking cutscenes.
I mean that's fair. One of the things I should clarify here is a big difference between Addy and I regarding fighting games is that I can appreciate when a fighting game has a good story, but at the end of the day, I'm all about the gameplay. Addy's kind of the opposite. Like, you can respect good gameplay, but it's mostly about the story, right?
Well, it's a mix of two, but yeah, I'm not sure how to put it. Like, I want to have a good reason to actually care about the characters that are in the game, but if I think the gameplay sucks, then I won't play your game even if I do like it. So, like Killer Instinct.
I mean, I can look at a game, and there are characters that I can appreciate just for parts of their visual design, or for their win poses, or for the uniqueness of their moveset. But at the end of the day, I'm really caring about the gameplay, whereas I don't really care that much about the characters most of the time.
Yeah, and I do care about the characters and what they give to the game, and whether or not I want to play them, and the character design and the win quotes and shit like that does change that.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely that's part of why we kind of talk so much about fighting games that we were starting this show. Because otherwise we'd probably just be like, hey,
Yeah.
this fighting game's good, and then soon wouldn't bitch about it. We want to do definitely an episode for just about every major fighting game that we like, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think we both already know what the next episode's going to be about.
Probably, yeah.
Because our choices for episode 1 came down to 2 choices. Well, we went with 98 for this one, so the second episode's probably going to be the alternative choice. I'm just going to go ahead and say that there are 2 characters that we have in the thumbnail for this. One character representing Addy.
And for a good reason.
You know what fucking cracks me up?
What?
That your character that you chose to represent you is Akuma, a Street Fighter character. I chose Faust, a Guilty Gear character. You were the bigger Guilty Gear fan of our duo, and I'm the bigger Street Fighter fan.
Yeah, that is true. But I feel like the characters represent us more. Because, like, the thing is, if, like, I'd flip my shit if Akuma turned up in Guilty Gear, even if it was Strive.
And, I mean, Faust belongs in every fighting game. Because...
yeah, Faust should be in every fighting game.
Just throw out mini-me's and oil barrels. And grow flowers out of your head.
Why not?
I mean, that's the quintessential question to Faust as a character. Why not? Anyways, so KOF 98. I am very curious. Addy, where did you get your introduction to the KOF series?
To KOF.
Was it Mugen?
Actually, no.
Oh.
So, my introduction to the KOF series, before I even pirated the arcade ports, or, well, I guess the arcade versions, rather, because they weren't ported there.
Yeah.
But, before even that, the first place where I found KOF characters was in Flash games, because there was this, like, Mugen-like Flash game that was I don't remember the actual name of it, but it was something like Street Fighter versus KOF, and it had any version that you freaking played. The full roster was never filled, and the roster was like Ryu, Ken, Chun, and like a fourth Street Fighter character that I don't remember, and then Kyo, Iori, and maybe K-Dash.
Man, I remember.
And that's it.
I remember the days of, like, Flash games that were obvious betas, right? They hadn't fucking finished it before they released it. Which I guess is just kind of a problem anytime you have, like, people who are not releasing for profit tend to have that happen a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you remember in the 2000s just how many times there were a fucking website launched for an indie game that was about, zombie apocalypse, open world, survival, and just how many there were that just didn't get off the ground.
No, because in the mid-2000s, I actually wasn't following gaming stuff, because for basically all of the 2000s, I was always at least a generation behind, so I wasn't keeping up because I was like, well, why should I care about this thing if I can get it?
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. I mean, I think that's actually one of the few things I can sympathize with being a generation behind because when the time came to upgrade to 7th gen, we didn't get an Xbox 360 or PS3 in my household. We got a Wii.
Ah,
So even though I was technically up to date, I was a generation behind.
half a generation behind, I guess.
I don't know. I think the Wii's processing power was about on par with the PlayStation 2's.
Oh,
Maybe slightly better, but slightly. There were some good-looking games on the PS2, and the best-looking games on the Wii looked about equivalent to that.
I mean, hey, you could do poses during freaking SmackDown vs. Raw while you had your entrance.
You're totally right. You're totally right. One of the only Wii games I still have. I have only 3 games on my Wii right now. One of them's Brawl. One of them's that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Smash Bros. Ripoff. And the third one is SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. Featuring Rob Van fucking Dam. Oh, man. We're both huge wrestling marks, by the way. Well, I guess I'm a bigger wrestling mark than you are, and neither of us watch modern wrestling anyways.
Yeah.
But we definitely, at some point in our lives, were wrestling marks. So that will probably inform a lot of this, because I think fighting games and wrestling are kind of closely related, honestly.
I don't know.
I mean, you gotta go back to Zangief back in the day, man.
I mean, yeah, Zangief has always been there, but like the wrestling is a character archetype, but it's not really like deeply intertwined with fighting games to me. Because to me, grab characters can be anything. I mean, hey, Merkava is a freaking grab character, and he's Dalsim, but also weird. That's the best way I can put it.
For Dalsim. Dalsim's already weird.
Dalsim is relatively normal. He doesn't flail his hands around while freaking completely in elastic mode.
I mean, Dalsim, we only think of Dalsim as being conventional and normal because he was in Street Fighter 2, so he's one of the original fighting game archetype characters.
Yeah, true.
If there was no Dalsim up until now, we'd be like, whoa, what a fucking weird character, man. But if there was no Dalsim, we wouldn't have Axel Lowe. Or Seth. Except Seth lost his stretchy moves in 5, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh man, Seth without stretchy moves. That's weird. We're talking about everything except KOF 98 right now.
Yeah, we are.
But it's the first episode. So, of course, we have to talk a lot about just fighting games in general. I mean, we're establishing that we like fighting games. And we are
establishing that fighting games exist.
We're establishing that fighting games are.
Yeah.
There we go. Title drop.
Roll credits.
Yeah, that's it. Just cut to me and Addie fucking driving on a swamp boat in Louisiana. And then in the background, there's some jackass on a mic going, yeah! And some shitty guitar riff.
Yeah.
All right. So, I'm curious. When was the first time you played 98 Ultimate Man?
When we played it, I think, because...
Me too.
Let's see. Which... Like, the thing is, because of how... how far back it was that I played KOF last, I don't actually remember which versions I played when I did pirate the freaking arcade versions. Because the only game I remember playing is Samurai Shodown 5 Special. And that's the only thing that stuck with me from that time. And at that time, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Or 1, rather. Yeah, 1.
Yeah, oh man. Marvel vs. Capcom 1. That's some old stuff right there. So, how I got introduced to KOF was Mugen. Because at some point I was probably 14 or 15. And around that time, my main form of amusement was locking myself in my room because I was, hormonal and shit. And instead just going and downloading a ton of Mugen characters. And that eventually did destroy my old PC. But I was introduced to so many good fighting games like KOF and Guilty Gear. And also, and BlazBlue was there too. And I immediately knew I loved KOF when I played as Terry, because he was the first I downloaded, and that's the right one to download first. Because I looked at the sprites for Terry, and I was like, yeah, Capcom's doing a lot better than this, you know? And then I actually played him, and his moveset was fantastic. And then I got confused and thought that Rugal's sprite was his CVS2 sprite. So I downloaded CVS2 Rugal, and let me tell you, no SNK sprite outside of KOF 13 has ever fucking matched up to the expectations made by CVS2 Rugal.
Nope, they have not. CVS2 is my favorite SNK game because
It is!
because of the Capcom sprites.
It has the best version of most of SNK's characters, too.
Yeah.
Like, there's only a couple of characters that I prefer alternative versions. And the only one I can think of is that Vice is pretty lame in CVS2, but other than that, like, you got Terry, Terry actually having the Power Geyser and the Buster Wolf before he had both in the KOF game. Because CVS2, I think, came out before KOF 2002.
I think so, because it is the Millennium Fight too. So
yeah. Well, no,
I think it would have been 2001.
Yeah, the announcer is constantly screaming in your face about 2001 when you play CVS2. So, oh man,
I'm looking it up.
Actually, Terry might have picked up the Buster Wolf in 99 or 2000, but he definitely doesn't have it in 98. And boy, does it stink not having the Buster Wolf on Terry.
Yeah. Okay, it is 2001.
Okay, yeah. But 98, I always knew 98 was the big one that everyone's like, oh, KOF 98, that was the height of competitive KOF. But when the opportunity arose for me to buy a KOF game on sale on Steam, yeah, I bought 2002 because it had a bigger roster. I'm a simple man. What can I say? And 2002 featured a lot of characters that I like that weren't introduced yet at the time of 98, like Vanessa or K-Dash.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, for both of us got introduced to KOF well after 98. As a matter of fact, you were definitely born after 98's release. Was I born after the KOF 98's initial release? I'm gonna look that up. Because, like, we both got introduced really late into the series. When would you say, like, what year were you probably introduced to KOF?
2007 or 8. Like, I think after figuring out that King of Fighters existed, I think one of the newer games was Maximum Impact, one of them.
Oh.
So,
okay, yeah, the arcade release of 98 was a month after I was born.
So you have no excuse, is what you're saying.
Yeah, then my parents should have been putting me up on them cabinets. Oh, man. So, when both of us come into the series that late, like, we're going to be more used to some characters that came after, and it's going to feel a little bit odd playing 98. And I gotta say, like, right now, for these past couple weeks I've been trying to play 98, it is weird getting in there and there's no K-Dash. There's no Maxima. There's no Kula. And would you say you would have had the same sentiment, or do you think that actually the 98 roster it feels complete enough on its own? Like, it doesn't feel like it's oddly missing someone.
Well, since I've had to switch to maining K-Dash because Rugal is dead, I am kind of... It is kind of weird having Rugal back in 98. But overall, I don't actually really miss a lot of the characters introduced after 98, because most of the characters that I like were introduced before, and I also just have a freaking grudge against Kula for whatever reason, so...
I mean, little girl characters generally are not your type at all.
Yeah.
Though Kula's supposed to be the same age as K-Dash, and K-Dash seems to be a young adult, so does that mean Kula's just really young looking?
I guess.
She's just short. Oh,
shit. There's also, yeah.
Isn't that the case with May and Guilty Gear? She's supposed to be 24, but she's just really fucking short.
No, she's really old. Like, surprisingly old, apparently, because they never actually tell you what age May is, but I think one of the Enron quotes is, I think Axel telling her that it's impossible that she's that old. So, she could be 24, she could be 50, I don't know.
Hang on, have I misjudged Johnny for his USS pedo boat this entire time?
Yes, he likes old women who look like young girls.
That's why they're all so short. They've hit that stage of old age where you start getting shorter.
Yeah.
Maze somehow got stronger with age, though. Oh, man.
That's why she rides the freaking dolphins, because she can't walk.
Yep. Oh, man. Like, Guilty Gear's got a classic roster by all means, but 98's roster, like, there are some real highlights here. I mean, there are some lowlights, too, don't get me wrong, but...
Brian Battler?
Yeah, well... Brian Battler, when I first saw Brian Battler, I was like, what the fuck? Because compared to Heavy D and Lucky Glauber, who the fuck is this, right? This guy with fish eyes.
Okay, I'm gonna be real. I think all of the freaking sports team are lame, and I only like Brian because of the pizza.
That's
like
honestly, like the way KOF has always booked the sports team. That's a totally fair belief. I am in the same position as you, where like I sympathize whenever you say like, "Oh, I don't get to play Rugal anymore because I don't get to play the sports team anymore." But story-wise, there's absolutely nothing going on with them. They are just losers who get their asses kicked every year.
If even that.
Yeah. Well, no, isn't that the bit that every year the villain team beats up the sports team to get in?
I don't know. The last one I read was that they lost the invitation and then someone picked it up.
That may have been Iori, Vice, and Mature.
So they're not just losers. They're also really shitty with their memory.
To be fair, they could just put Brian in charge of it. He doesn't exactly come off as the brain power of that trio.
Yeah.
All right, this is the vital part of our team formation. Brian, we need you to jump and then spin in the air. Oh, I got it, boss. Oh, Christ. Brian Battler, when you think about it, is one of the strangest fighting game character designs I've seen in a long time. He has a Psycho Crusher. He has a Shoulder Charge. He has a Rekka. He has a Command Grab. And he has a move that turns him into a constant hitbox in the air. That is a peculiar character design.
Brian Battler, to me, is like stronger Honda.
Yeah, that's kind of fair. I don't think the pizza, the good old UFO pizza, I don't think that's quite as strong as Honda's Sumo Stomp, though.
It's not as strong, but it's better for mix-ups.
That's true.
I think.
Also,
because remember when I drew like 5 Z's on top of you?
Yeah, that move's got cross-ups like mad. I wonder if it causes Fuzzy Guard to kick in, though, if it crosses up multiple times.
Maybe.
Because otherwise it'd just be unblockable if you did it at the right angle.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's a question I always have for you with fighting games. And to me it says a lot about the roster. What your answer is. If you could remove one character from KOF 98, who would you remove?
Probably Athena.
Yep, that's the answer I was expecting.
Like just because she's annoying, but otherwise I don't really have any characters that I would remove, because like even the shitty joke characters can play pretty good, because there is Shingo. And Shingo is like done right.
Yeah, I was thinking about that just last night, that KOF does joke characters a lot better than Street Fighter does.
Yeah. And I mean the whole character of Shingo is we taught him bad on purpose.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, because Kyo just steals his money and teaches him how to wave his hand around, and there's no fire.
But Shingo's
Just keep trying.
But the problem is Shingo's actually so good at fighting that he still does well, even though he has no superpowers.
Yeah.
Oh man. Shingo's not in 14, is he?
Nope. I miss him.
They haven't brought
And the thing is, I like all of the Kusanagis that aren't actually Kyo. Because I like Shingo. Shingo is just a Kyo clone with some different properties or moves. I like Saishu. Saishu is just a different Kyo. Both of them are gone.
Shingo has a pretty good chance to come back, though. He was there for pretty much every 2D title up until he went 3D. I can tell you he was definitely in 98, 2002, and 11, and those were all three the big ones of the 2D era. Not counting 13 because 13 is its own unique beast. Like, of the classic SNK shit sprite era.
Yeah.
Shingo's definitely got to be one of the more popular KOF characters. Because, I mean, when you look at the joke characters of Street Fighter, right? We got Dan, who is... he's Dan, whatever. Blanca, who has been shitting the bed for decades now. Honda is... I forget, is Honda the one who's obsessed with finding a wife, or is that Ganryu?
I think that's Ganryu. Well, I actually don't know if Honda has a character right now, because even in 5, his character story is just that he's a pervert, basically, and he just goes around yelling at people who are naked, or something like that, in the onsen.
Okay. I figured, like, Honda was in the Zangief place, where, like, he no longer does anything, he just shows up and he's like, sumo.
He probably is.
Because that's Zangief's storyline at this point. He just shows up to places and he's like, wrestling.
No, it's muscle.
Muscle. Now Mika's the one who shows up and she's like, wrestling.
Yeah.
Because we're not allowed to make the women muscular, huh, Capcom? Mika.
Except for Chun-Li's thighs.
Yep, there we go. Mika can fucking do a crazy... Mika can do... Oh, what's the old move that... Kenta Kobashi did in Japanese wrestling? The Death Valley Driver, but inverted.
The inverted Death Valley Driver? The Burning Hammer.
Burning Hammer. Fucking Mika can do burning hammers to Abigail, who is like 10 feet tall and 6 million pounds. And yet Mika is fucking thin as a stick, except for the fat on her ass.
Yep.
Yep, there we go. KOF also SNK also does female characters a lot better than Capcom.
Yeah, usually.
I mean,
for the most part, yeah. Because like for the people who are like that, it fits.
Yeah, like they have Mai and Angel doing their thing, but that's just who they are as characters. Whereas, like, the only example I can think of like, what the fuck are you doing? Why did you turn this character into this? Is Leona.
Yeah.
Leona's new design is crap. Which is a pity because her classic design is one of my favorites out of SNK's entire roster. Oh, man. There are so many good classic characters from the 98 era, absolutely. I mean, like, there are a lot of characters I miss from the later periods, but there's also a lot of stinkers from those later periods.
Freaking Tetsuo.
You know, a lot of characters are just like...
Yeah, okay. Kyo 3000. In fact, most of the Kyos. People complain about clone characters taking up roster. Ask SNK. Like shit.
I feel like they would have added those. I feel like they would have added the army of Kyos in Unlimited match, didn't they?
Probably. But it's still fun to joke about because
whatever. We'll do an episode on Unlimited match some other day.
Yeah.
A lot of the Kyos were just because, hey, some people really want to play 94 Kyo, and he's not here anymore. But my question would be, if you want to play 94 Kyo, just play a Yori.
Yeah.
Unless it's 13. Because in 13, Yori doesn't have his powers.
Oh.
Boy, that Ash storyline was fucked.
And if you could, who would you remove, if any?
Oh man, you shouldn't ask me that question for most games because I'm not going to have an answer. There's only a couple games like Injustice 2. If you asked me that for Injustice 2, I'd give you an answer. And you already know what that answer would be.
The game.
But I don't think anyone in 98 really brings it down. I think it's an all-around roster that fits pretty well. We got most of the big archetypes covered, both character-wise and moveset-wise. And there's no one who's really just playing a pain in the ass to play against. Because even Athena's a bit of a zoner, but even Athena has like some moves to encourage her to play a little bit more aggressively.
Yeah.
Like the teleport. You know what? Oh man. Okay, let's change the question then. If I were forced to remove one character from the game, I have to. Someone's got to go. It would be Garnet. I'm gonna say Garnet. Because as zoner bosses go, he is just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Rugal's a classic, and Orochi just whatever does Orochi's things. Garnet is the fucking problem.
I had the weirdest fight against Gurnitz just today, because you know how Gurnitz shouldn't really play close and how he should zone.
Yeah,
he did the exact opposite. Dude threw me against the wall with his zoning, and then teleported next to me and tried to attack me. He tried to do rushdown.
Yeah, Gurnitz's AI is not aware of how strong his tornadoes are.
Oh, but it is. I'm not sure what the hell happened, because usually when I play against Gurnitz, the screen is just tornadoes. That's the thing, that's why I'm surprised. It's not because he couldn't use the character good, it's because I have seen him use the character good, and he just didn't.
Who are you playing as?
Rugal.
Rugal. Well, maybe the AI is like... Because I noticed the AI for 98 is pretty smart, all things considered. So maybe the AI is like, oh, Rugal's a bit of a zoner, we shouldn't zone.
Yeah, possibly. I can see that happening.
Can Rugal's energy shield reflect a tornado?
I didn't try.
It never occurred to me to check that. I would have to imagine not, because it probably is coded as a projectile, but that's a weird thought. That's a weird thought right there.
Speaking of weird reflections like that, you know how Yamazaki has the counter mechanic?
Yes, the one where he sticks out his tongue, right?
Yes. And you know how Yamazaki's counter mechanic can't counter projectiles?
No?
I don't know, I haven't been able to get it to do that. Aside from one instance that I think was a bug, because Joe Higashi did his tornadoes. I was doing the counter. The tornado ceased to exist. Yamazaki spit out a fireball from his neck, and then he hit Joe Higashi with it.
Oh, I was reading about that last night, actually. That is a projectile counter, yes, but only if you do the heavy version.
Alright. I guess that's what happened.
Yeah, if you do the heavy version, he eats the fireball and spits it back out or something.
That's a Yamazaki move, yes.
Yeah. Yamazaki's a bit of a weirdo, honestly. But we love him for it. Yamazaki is like one of the... Like, when I try to think of, like, unique KOF designs, because there are some KOF designs that are not terribly unique. Cough, cough, Rio, right?
Yeah.
But there are some really unique designs in KOF, and Yamazaki's one of the big ones that pops into mind immediately. Because Yamazaki predates Johnny as a character design, right?
Yeah.
So he probably would have been the first to do that gimmick right there of the Mistfinder, is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's what Johnny's is called. I don't remember what Yamazaki's version is called.
Where he enters a stance, and as long as you hold the button, he stays in that stance. And from that stance, he can hit high, mid, or low. With a very long range. And that on top of the knife and the dust kick and the counter all makes for Yamazaki being a very strange character, as he should be.
Yeah.
Because he's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Like the thing with Yamazaki, I actually tried picking him up before I played Guilty Gear because I saw him do the Mistfinder shit, and I was like, "That's cool," and then I never actually figured out how to do it. But like every time I think of Yamazaki, I kind of view him as like Carnage without the symbiote. Just the same, yeah.
So Cletus Cassidy.
No, not Cletus Cassidy, because Cletus Cassidy can't actually kill people that easily. Like just the same power Carnage, just without the symbiote.
So if the Carnage symbiote was a person instead of a goo monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a totally fair idea. Yeah. Yeah, very, very similar. Very similar. Though, does Ryuji actually do that many bad things? I know he's always associated as just a bad dude, but
I don't know.
Haven't there been a couple times he was fighting on the side of the good guys anyways?
I'm not sure. He might just be like Akuma, where he's supposed to be bad, but he ends up on the right side of history more often than not for some reason.
Because he's too popular to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
That's definitely a thing that Japan loves, the crazy antagonist that's more sympathetic than the sane antagonist.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like it too. So.
Oh, yeah. Crazy antagonist is always fun. Crazy villains?
Yeah.
Well, not always, excuse me. Trevor from GTA 5 springs to mind.
Yeah. It can be done wrong, but... It can be done wrong, but if it's done right, then it's pretty good.
Yeah. Who would you say... Okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask you, even though I know the answer to this, but just for the sake of the podcast. Who is your favorite character in the entire KOF series?
In the entire series... I'd probably Rugal, just because, well, yeah.
Over Kim, really?
Yes, I actually like Rugal more than Kim. I just play Kim more because Kim is in every game, so Kim is someone I can always fall back to, and thus I know more of Kim's shit.
Even though he changes quite a bit between games?
Yeah. I mean, have they changed the flash kick at all? Ever? I don't remember them doing that.
I don't play Kim, don't ask me.
Because there are a couple of things that they never change about Kim. It's the flash kick, I'm not sure about it, but from what I remember, the dive kick is always basically the same. Stuff like that. So, like, they change a lot about Kim, but his basic tools are usually the same.
Does he have the stomp in every game?
No.
Ah.
No, I think they gave him the stomp after Garo or something.
Ah, that makes sense. Yeah, because his kids had it. I got a question. Do you prefer single play or team play?
I mean, balance-wise, I prefer single play, but overall, I kind of like team play better just because that's what sets KOF apart.
I got a question. I'm going to go ahead and express my view on it, and I want to hear what you have to think about it. I prefer single play just because I don't have enough brain power for team play. If I have to pick 3 characters in the game, I get confused really easily.
Well, you see, in Mugen, I always played team play, so I just got used to it. That's the thing.
Do you mean the all-at-once team play or the in-a-row team play?
In a row.
Okay, because all-at-once team play was fucking anarchy.
It was. I also played that a lot, but... Thanks, Alexa.
Hey, Google, stop. What the fuck was that? She thought I was asking about Turkey.
Nice. Yeah, so, like, usually, if a game has team mode, and by team mode I mean, like in a row, one per round, I actually usually prefer that over single play because I feel like that gives the gameplay more of a pace, I guess.
Yeah, I see why you're saying it, absolutely. Hang on. You prefer KOF's way? Where you're just running through the team like a gauntlet? Or do you prefer Marvel versus Capcom's way of actually having a tag team?
Well, overall, I think I like it. I like it more as a gauntlet because it's just like 6 at most one-on-one fights instead of 1 3-on-3. That I also don't have to think about assists, and that's the big thing.
Yes.
Because like I'm fine with 3-on-3, but I never use assists. I just can't think about those at the same time as everything else that's going on.
Well, I have a problem in Marvel vs. Capcom where I don't ever play consistently like the same characters. I swap characters all the time. I think in Marvel vs. Capcom, you just have to get used to the same team, so you'll always know. Oh, left bumper button is to get Akuma to come out and do his Tatsu.
Yeah, I kind of have that issue as well, but like I can usually play one team and just stick with that. Like how I on the start I played Rocket, Akuma, and Ghost Rider, and I played them for most of the time that I played Marvel vs. Capcom 3 initially. But teams change, and so I never really stopped to learn the assists because I was like, well, I'm still just getting a taste for the game and figuring out what characters I want to use, so I don't really want to start relying on this thing, because if I do and change the character later, then that just makes holes in my gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. But assists are so strong in Marvel 3.
Yeah,
And KOF did wind up introducing assists later on in 11, didn't they?
I think so. Well, even before that, I think. I don't remember which one, but
Oh, right. Fucking 2000 let you take a 4-man team.
yeah, stuff like that. So assists were a thing even before that, but they just kind of turned them on and off randomly.
I mean, it forms a kind of weird place in the game because otherwise the pacing is all closer to like Street Fighter.
Yeah,
I mean, you could summarize KOF as Street Fighter, a bit more jank, but a lot more aggressive, and with some really fun character designs.
yeah,
And it could definitely stand to be a lot more popular.
yeah, probably.
Because there's a lot of good stuff here that I think people would really love. But people don't really remember SNK that much. Which is weird, because the Neo Geo is definitely one of the classic video game consoles that you might remember. Though it's, of course, never considered to be on par with Nintendo or Sega.
Yeah. Like SNK will always be a big thing for me because between the time that I had my NES and between the time that I had my PS2, SNK's games were basically the only games I played because I could emulate them on my GDS PC. And so I just spent, I don't know, like 5 or 7 years playing arcade fighting games by SNK.
Ha! I mean, that pretty much is just limited to KOF, Art of Fighting, Fatal Fury, Samurai Showdown,
Last
and
Blade.
Last Blade, right? Yeah.
They also have other shit, like there was the ninja one that Puma and whoever else was in, Battle Colosseum was in. Stuff like that.
Oh, man.
Let me look it up because
Yeah, Battle Coliseum.
Let me look it up because I actually have it in my wish list on PS4 because they released it.
SNK is pretty good about re-releasing their crap.
Yeah. I have like I don't know, over $100 worth of SNK fighting games from that era in my wish list.
Oh.
So let's.
My question
yeah.
is, are they Code Mystics ports or the what are they, ACA?
Yeah, ACA ports, sadly.
No. Yeah.
So like it's better than nothing, but it's still not the best.
Yeah.
World of Heroes, that's what it's called.
World of Heroes. Okay, I never heard of it.
So yeah, there's that. There's Galaxy Fight, which I actually like. Some of these I don't know any characters from Galaxy Fight, and World of Heroes I actually do recognize characters from. So
SNK made a lot of stuff back in the day.
yeah,
I remember with Mugen, I tried to set up an entire block of like 80 characters that would be specifically devoted to SNK. Yeah, I ran out of slots.
Yeah, that's just
Between just KOF and Sam's show. I didn't even touch the others.
oh, nice.
Which is part of why for the longest time, I thought Last Blade was SNK's 3D franchise.
SNK didn't have a 3D franchise. There was Sam Show 64 and also Sam Show Revolution or something like that. Or that was on the PS1. That was also 3D. Then there was also Sam. We don't talk about Sam.
Are you sure there wasn't a Last Blade game?
Last Blade died with 2.
It did.
Yeah. Unless I'm mistaken, and have been for the past like freaking 12 years. I'm looking it up, but Last Blade, as far as I know, died with the second game.
I remember there being a Last Blade game in 3D, and there was an unlockable character, and her weapon was not a sword, it was a machine gun. And she was a secret character who just annihilated everyone else on the roster because she had a machine gun.
Are you sure you're not thinking of Bushido Blade?
No, I'm not sure that I'm not thinking of Bushido Blade. I probably am.
So, okay, that's just the first game. I'm not looking for this. I'm looking for the actual series.
And did they ever end up including any of the Last Blade characters in King of Fighters?
No, never. Because they didn't fit with the old janky art style because it looked like Garo. So.
Oh, right. Yes, the Last Blade sprites were fantastic.
Yeah.
But hey, now they got a shot, now that we're in 3D.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, they've demonstrated some capability to bring back some old-ass characters.
Yes,
they showed that in 14.
Yes, Last Blade died with 2.
Ooh, alright. Yeah, they knew Garo was going to fail when they started development, right? Pretty sure we did read that.
I'm not sure, but they could have.
So I guess that was around the time where people those sprites of that era, the late 90s, were fantastic. But it just came around at a time where people wanted 3D.
Yeah.
Because 3D was hot and new. And of course, it adds up to this situation where those of us who weren't there at the time can look back and be like, what the fuck? Why would you take, Tekken 3 with its potatoes and Virtual Fighter over Last Blade or Garo or Third Strike? But they had sprites, and at the time that was just thought of as, archaic, antiquated.
And then we have things like Strider too, which for one was the sequel to a shitty ass first game, because like Strider is a classic. Strider is also very bad. But that game was that game was probably one of the first 2.5D games, or at least the first one that I know of. Because Clone War might have come out before then, whatever. But it was a game that used sprites, but also the 3D plane, and it sold pretty well because it did get a reboot in 2016 that went nowhere because nobody bought it.
Mm-hmm.
I bought the game on release. It was $10.
I downloaded the demo and just wasn't impressed, so I didn't.
It's a pretty fun Metroidvania.
I probably should have put more time in than none, but at that time, I was probably just too dumb.
But yeah. So,
okay.
98.
When you do make a team, what is your team?
In 98, probably Kim, Rugal, and Saishu.
Alright. That's actually pretty much just the 3 highlights of the roster.
Yep.
For you.
That, but I've also started playing Kimiori and Yamazaki because whatever, just learned how to use them so I can use them in 14. Because as much as I
Have
look,
they not?
yeah,
Have they not changed significantly?
Iori maybe, Yamazaki not really.
Yeah, I guess nothing really changes with Yamazaki. Well, did he? I thought he lost his projectile eat move.
I'm not sure because I just recently found out that it eats projectiles, but the only thing that I can think of that he lost is maybe his knife, or it's on a different freaking
They definitely
input.
changed the input of the knife a lot.
But yeah, it just that. That's the only thing that I've noticed. And Iori might have changed, but I can't confirm. So
I feel like Iori's probably got the most iconic moveset of any KOF character. So he's one they always distance themselves from changing too much.
yeah, they didn't. They probably didn't change him too much. Just some of the inputs.
Iori's one of the few characters in KOF, like, every move in Iori's moveset going back to 98 has always been useful. Like, there are a lot of characters in KOF who get changed constantly just because they have a couple moves that are trash. Iori's, all of his iconic moves are good.
Yeah.
They form a valuable part of his moveset. Boy, like, there are a lot of characters who feel very weird because of the lack of projectiles. No one feels weirder than Geese.
Yeah.
Yeah, Geese is like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
the Rapukin is trash now.
Yeah, I fought Geese earlier today, and I saw him, and I was like, okay, I'm dead. And then I mixed him up once, and he couldn't get up, basically, because he couldn't projectile me, he couldn't parry me because I was mixing him up, and overall he just had a really bad time.
Yeah, Geese in 98, I think they were scared of Geese being too strong. He's got a lot of moves in this one, though. Because ordinarily, Geese has got one of the smallest KOF movesets, but here he's got plenty, and they're all pretty bad.
I don't know, I like the, bloody hell, I forget Terry's move's name. The one where he leads them into the air.
Power dunk.
Yeah, the power dunk. I like Geese's power dunk.
I think for Geese, it's the buzzsaw cutter.
Yeah, something like that.
Keep that name in mind because it's fucking cool.
I like that move because it looks cool and it works alright.
Power dunks are always cool.
Yeah.
I gotta say, one that might actually be weirder for me every time I see it, weirder than the Rapukin not being a projectile, fucking Geese's genocide cutter only being a one hit. That one's weird to me. Maybe just because I'm so used to 2000.
Geese's genocide cutter?
No, I meant Rugal.
Alright.
I mix up Geese and Rugal's names all the time.
I'm used to Rugal having a one-hit genocide cutter because at CVS. But
yeah. Oh, okay. I think the Rugal I'm used to in CVS is probably God Rugal.
Probably. Because normal CVS Rugal is normal Rugal. Genuinely just normal Rugal.
98 Rugal, because 2002 hadn't come out yet.
Yeah. And then Shin Rugal is 2002 Rugal.
Oh man, I wonder if he even has the unblockable Kaiser wave.
Maybe.
That would figure for God Rugal.
Yeah.
Because him and Shinakuma weren't broken enough already.
It's weird how the word Shin works. Because, like, they, in the English localization for CVS, they called them God Akuma and God Rugal, but then like Shin is actually either means God or true. So it's either them in an almighty form, or it could just be their real power. And I feel yeah.
If for that translation, I think that works a lot better for Shin Akuma rather than God Akuma, because it makes it ambiguous. Is Akuma ascending, or is Akuma just showing his true self? It's a question, you know?
Yeah. I still kind of want Capcom to do a thing where Akuma takes off the whatchamacallit, like the barrier he puts on himself to make him be able to fight people.
Well, we did get that twice. We got Oni and we got Asura's Wrath.
That is true, but only was kind of shit.
Yeah,
Like,
but it's the classic.
Yeah.
It's the classic problem of having an ultra form that you introduce, but it needs to be balanced.
Yeah, and I kind of want to see what they could do if balance wasn't a question. Like, if it could be a thing that you can only turn on if everybody agreed or something.
Well, if you do get that with God Akuma and CVS too.
That is true, yeah.
I mean, like, they shouldn't have had God Rugal. They should have just had Omega Rugal. The problem is there are too many games where Omega Rugal is playable and balanced, so Omega Rugal doesn't seem that special anymore.
Yeah, and also, no, Shin Rugal is Shin Rugal because he sucks Satsui no Haru out of Akuma.
That's true. That's true. I don't know. I feel like that makes Rugal look kind of like a wimp in comparison.
I
Oh
don't,
yeah, in order for Rugal to be a threat, he needs to fucking eat Akuma.
I don't know, because Akuma also sucks out the Orochi power from Rugal. So
Well, then why is he just God Rugal? Why is he just Shin Akuma? He even has the classic Shin Akuma color palette.
Yeah, that's my point. Akuma should have been more, but yeah, the CVS thing is that one of them eats the other's powers, and then they become stronger. And also, Rugal, if he beats you, becomes Akuma, just taller. Like that's my favorite CVS2 ending. Rugal kills Akuma, sucks out his power, beats you up, also becomes Akuma. Why? Who knows?
Oh man, different times they were. Different times.
Yeah, I wish that if the CVS3 existed and we also had freaking Akuma Rugal.
If CVS 3 existed, there were so many characters that I'd want to see. Like, oh man, like imagine these classic KOF characters with sprites that weren't shit.
Yeah. And now if it becomes reality, imagine these classic KOF characters now looking like Street Fighter 5.
Yeah. Well, hopefully Street Fighter 6 is gonna look good. Oh man, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Worst sprite in '98.
98. Chingensai, I think.
Really? You think Chin? I mean, are you talking about specific moves or just in general?
Just in general, because he's the shittiest looking one that immediately comes to mind. To me.
I mean, his moves where he's lying down on the ground pretty bad, definitely. But oh man, I'm trying to think. Is there now the character that springs to mind is like the shit sprites are like L name and fucking Nameless from 2002 springs to mind immediately.
Oh, you said 98. If overall, then freaking the old Mai sprite where she was just a stick figure with tits.
That yeah. But yeah, like you said, Nameless isn't in '98, so. Oh, I don't want to go with Chin. I think Chin's like normal is like he's okay as long as he doesn't lay down on the ground. For me,
Chin is normal as long as he doesn't move.
Yeah, just stay right there. You're to be looked at. You're not to actually do anything. Just to be looked at. Huh. I feel like KOF usually does pretty badly with characters who are really skinny, but the skinniest character there is Lucky Glauber, and he comes off okay. He doesn't look great, but he's all right.
Yeah, he looks on par with everyone.
Yeah, Krauser didn't look great.
Yeah,
Krauser's like color palette was off, and his animations were definitely. He seemed to have less frames on most of his moves than every other character on the roster.
Probably, yeah.
Which, I mean, makes sense, because my understanding, Krauser was added in the Ultimate Match, so there probably wasn't as much work put into him as anyone else. I mean, Geese probably already had, like, a sprite from 2002 or 11 that they could use.
Yeah.
I don't know where the hell they got Mr. Big from. So Krauser might have been one of the only ones that Ultimate Match guys had to make themselves. And yeah, he kind of wound up kind of poopy. You know what? His best animation is the Kaiser Way, which
because
was
they just
already
copied Rugal.
animated. Yep. Rugal even has long hair and a mustache. Oh, that's convenient, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh man. You gotta love that low budget era of SNK.
My favorite low budget era of SNK is post 13.
Yeah.
I
The,
wish.
the low budget of
Yeah.
it's really there's no such thing as a low budget era of SNK. There's just two budget eras of SNK.
Yeah. I wish the 13 sprites weren't so squished and also didn't take like 3 fortunes to pick.
Yeah. I wish that companies didn't have to commit suicide to make KOF 13.
Yeah.
That KOF 13 was fucking falling into the pit of lava, but having one hand, leaving it up, raising the middle finger as you into the lava.
Basically.
Oh, man. Oh, we gotta try 13 at some point.
I've
With
been meaning to
98,
yeah.
I want to ask you, so out of the KOF games you've played, does it feel like 98's a little rougher to control than most KOFs?
Not really, no. It
I
seems about
felt
on
that
par.
I felt that the cancel input timing was a lot more difficult than most fighting games that I tend to play.
I mean, yeah, but that's just KOF. Like they
That is true.
with time they made it easier to do shit, which is how I was able to juggle you in 2002 accidentally. But
Well, 2002 just has a lot more juggling altogether.
that's just how the games go on, dude. Like 14 had if you know how to do it, you can juggle pretty well in 14 too, from what I could tell.
I mean, big combos can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think when it gets to Touch of Death level, it's ridiculous for KOF because KOF's origins are a little closer to Street Fighter. But if KOF wants to have some big boy combos to set itself apart, then I absolutely understand.
Yeah, and with 98, it's harder to do that, but it's still possible, I think, because I do remember seeing videos of it happening.
You might be confusing it with 2002 or 11.
Maybe.
Because, yeah, I was looking up 98 combo videos just to see what's possible. A lot of the Touch of Death combos in 98 require stupid shit. Like, oh, Yuri's Touch of Death combo is when her opponent jumps over her, she throws out the Haoken. Then she jumps over her opponent. The opponent has to do nothing for the next 10 seconds as she sprints him to the corner so he can get hit from behind by the Haoken. And then she does her combo, ending in a fucking another super. Anytime the death combo requires you to run someone backwards into a fucking slow projectile, it's like that's not gonna get actually used in any real match.
Yeah. But I do like the freaking stupid shit that where you do like a big ground combo and then end it with stuff like the gigantic pressure.
That's fun. That is always fun. Well, it works because the gigantic pressure is not really a command.
It is, but it isn't. But it still is.
I mean, yeah, if it connects, then you pick the guy up. But it's not considered a command grab.
Dude, it's not considered a command grab in that it doesn't go through blocks. I have caught people who were dodging with it, and I'm not sure how. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a consistent thing or if it was a bug.
It's a consistent thing. At the end of every dodge roll, there's a little bit of recovery. There's definitely been times where we've caught each other at the end of at the end of dodge roll.
Yeah.
I gotta say, the AI in KOF 98 is really, really good at kicking my ass.
Yep,
I don't play against the AI a lot, and oh my god.
Yeah,
so, How many times did you play against Iori?
Not actually. Somehow he just never did come with me.
Lucky bastard. I had to play against him twice. Iori's got a smart setup. He zones you out with fireballs until you dodge in, at which point he command grabs you for a full combo, like an asshole.
Oh, Terry did that with me.
Oh.
In fact, Terry did jungle combos on me.
Terry doesn't have a command grab in this one, does he?
He doesn't have a command grab, but he somehow freaking frame perfectly kicked me out of dodge every time.
Oh, I don't think it's frame perfect.
Probably not, but still.
Yeah, the encouraging people to dodge roll strats are pretty strong in that game.
Yeah.
For the amount of low projectiles there are, we should probably just be sticking to short hops, except for Terry.
Yeah.
Terry's power wave hits way up in this game, right?
Yes, it does. That's basically what he was doing. He zoned me out, and when I tried to get it any way, he either kicked me into power guy or not power guys or freaking rising tackle, and then did a combo off of that, or if I tried jumping in, he just didn't kick me on the ground. And with time, I was able to counter it, but still.
Yeah, it's a different setup playing KOF than just about any other fighting game, but especially Street Fighter. Like, short hops alone changed the game quite a bit. Are you able to do short hops consistently?
Not yet, no.
Oh, I can't either. I'll wait to get my short hopping down once I play a KOF game that's actually relevant and still played by a lot of people. Which might not ever happen.
So 15, maybe.
Yeah. Hopefully 15. Fuck.
Imagine if they reveal 15, it goes back to the high res freaking full HD 4K sprites.
Well,
they won't do it, but it would be funny.
KOF would die again, but that might actually get people to pay attention.
Yeah.
KOF 14, people actually did notice the first trailer, but the thing people noticed was, boy, these graphics are shit, man. Oh, how can this happen in modern day? Oh my.
Honestly,
oh my god.
Honestly, I would be interested in seeing what would happen if stuff like if SNK would just give the graphics support to people like Arxis. Like the gameplay, and then the models and shit are made by Arxis.
Yeah, keep SNK's character designers and moveset designers. Get rid of the fucking coders and the graphics guys.
Yeah.
Like, put the fucking gameplay design to, like, Capcom and put the fucking graphics design to Arxis. Like, SNK can make good character designs. SNK can make good character movesets. It's just when they actually, like, have to program the game, it comes out a little fucky.
Yeah.
So, with KOF 98, I do have to wonder, like, considering, like, story is a big part of fighting games to you, 98 doesn't have a story, right? Isn't it a dream match game?
might be. 98 might be a dream match game, yeah. I think so.
So does that, like, factor into your opinion of 98?
Not really, because smaller things are still there. Like the ending quote or the end round quotes and the just the animations that the characters do between rounds are still there, and they still kind of tell a story.
So you're good just having characters from stories you like isolated and put into a kind of a pseudo storyless situation.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's also what happens with, like, Mugen and Marvel vs. Capcom, prior to Infinite, at least.
Yeah, and the thing with dream matches and crossovers and stuff like that is that it also opens up like what if interactions that they couldn't actually make in the story, but they can showcase in dream matches like this.
It does, yeah. But Japanese developers don't actually act on what if situations as much as you'd think.
Yeah, usually not, but sometimes there are good nods and shit like that, like in CVS2 when Ken throws Terry his cap because they're the same character.
That is a very good one, yes. But we've got 3 fighting games now that feature both Geese and Rock Howard, and we still haven't really got the father-son showdown.
We haven't got the father-son showdown, but there are nods to it, believe it or not. At least in 14.
They do have a unique intro in CBS too, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and then also whenever like Rock. Actually, I haven't fought Geese with Rock yet, although I do think they have a special match intro. And also, if you do the bloody hell, I always forget the name. The pretzel. If you do the pretzel with Rock, then he has a special like win pose after the match with the win quote that he
Oh,
only
what
has then.
does he still? Is the Rising Storm still on Pretzel for Rock in 14?
No, not even for Geese.
Oh, so there's just a special win pose that unlocks if you do the pretzel at some point during the match.
No, if it only unlocks if you do it to win. So if you win with the Rising Storm, Rock's hand is burning with the purple flame, and he's like, "What the hell is happening? My blood is boiling."
Oh, because I think in his CBS 2 intro with Geese, he says that. Because I guess the thing is he doesn't know that Geese is his dad. He doesn't know that Geese is his dad.
No, he doesn't.
Terry never told him.
No.
You know, to be honest, that makes sense. Terry probably wouldn't at some point be like, "Hey, you know, I'm not your dad. I fucking murdered the shit out of your real dad." So,
No, it was Mario. Mario killed Geese.
yes.
Remember, he jumped down to get the invitation that Terry got.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, that invitation went to Terry. So even in that situation, Terry still kind of killed Geese.
Kind of, but he doesn't know. So.
Oh man. I love that Geese's number one character trait now is falls off of buildings.
Yeah.
Because, like, how many people now are there that their only exposure to Geese is that fucking ad for Terry? So Geese is the guy who falls off buildings.
Oh, many people.
All right. Top 5 KOF supers. Go.
Gigantic Pressure, the one that hits both of the walls.
Ooh, yes, the wall carry. The key part is not only that, but that when he slams him to the wall, a fucking pillar of blood with a skull on it appears.
Yeah. So
it's so good that in KOF 2002 they decided there needed to be 2 characters who do it. So Mature got it as well.
And Mature still has it in 14.
Mature still has it in 14.
It's either Vice or Mature.
Vice would not have it. Vice has her power.
Which color is Vice and which color is Mature?
Vice is the short-haired red one who's creepy. Mature is the like haughty white one.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, when I say haughty, I spell Haught, haughty, not. I'm not complimenting Mature's appearance. I should clarify that.
Yeah, Mature still has that. Yes.
That's good. That works for her.
Yeah.
Number 3.
What do you mean number 3? I only said 1.
Oh, you're right. My dumbass counted the Mature one.
So yeah, the Gigantic Pressure, Shangoku Phoenix Flatner, because yes, I needed more reasons to freaking inflate him. The Superpower Dunk, I forget its name.
Really, the Superpower Dunk?
Yeah, I like it. I use it a lot.
I think that's weird. I think that's just kind of a lame combination of Dunk and the Power Riser.
I like it.
I mean, I can see why you'd like it, but like to me, it's just 98's fucked up replacement for the Buster Wolf.
I like both. That I like K-Dash's. Or are we keeping this to 98?
Fuck it. You already said the Shingoku Satsu Phoenix Flattener, so
yeah, that's true.
K-Dash's sunglass throw?
No, the K-Dash's teleportation shit. Because it makes no sense.
I mean, K-Dash has like got crazy superpowers. It's fine.
Yeah.
I am shocked you're not going with the sunglasses throw. I swear they must have seen people playing Dudley in Third Strike and they're like, we need to take this to the next fucking level.
Yeah.
We must carry this to its logical conclusion.
So that And then the Buster Wolf, because, yeah.
It's a classic. It really is. So the
Yeah.
Power Geyser is the weak one out of Terry's supers for you, huh?
Yeah. That's the one I use the least.
Oh,
Because
but it is such a good utility super, though.
the thing is, I think it also relates with with which specials I use. Because I rarely ever actually use the Power Wave, but I use the Burning Knuckle and Power Guy or the freaking whatchamacallit, Power Dunk a lot.
Yeah, I mean, well, Terry has got such a diverse moveset that different players will play Terry entirely different.
Yeah.
Like, with the Power Geyser, when I think of the Power Geyser, I just think of, like, the super version of it. Like, the super duper version of it, where he throws out, like, 5 Power Geyser pillars.
Yeah.
And that one's fantastic. That one's great.
I like that one. I also like the one where he, if I remember correctly, I'm not sure if that was in an official version of Terry or not, but I saw a version of it where it's that, but it's actually the Kongo Kuretsu-san, and that was stupid.
What?
So Terry does the power geyser, but instead of blowing up where his hand hits, he blows himself up, and you can't get close to him, or you die.
Oh, okay. So it's around him. Like Power Geyser around himself. I see.
Yeah.
That might be official. That sounds like it would have been official at some point.
I like that one as well, but it's weird how I turned around on those types of supers, because when I started playing fighting games and when I was mostly just mashing and shit, I just liked those supers because I was like, well, people are gonna jump over me because the AI didn't, and I couldn't play against actual people at all. There was literally no way to do it. So that those were useless, and now I just run under people and do it because it looks cool.
It really does. It looks awesome when you catch people like that.
Yeah, the Kongo Kuretsu-san is actually probably my, like, I really like the Shogoku Satsuki. Kongo Kuretsu-san is a really close second for me, for Akuma. I wish he had it in more games.
They're both definitely fantastic. Like Akuma, if Akuma has to have 3 supers, obviously he needs to keep the Raging Demon and the what you just said, the Power Geyser. But I absolutely fucking love the one he has in Marvel. The air Hadoken where he just throws out fucking 50 of them.
Ah, yeah.
Anytime Gurnitz is there, he needs to be bullied.
Yeah.
It's what he deserves.
Gurnitz will forever remain to be the KOF boss who has the music from Earthbound. Because it just sounds like Earthbound music.
I play KOF on mute. I mean, there are just some characters in KOF that, like, Psychoball! You gotta play it on mute.
Yeah. Athena is a reason to not play KOF at all.
I mean, Athena's not the only one. Coco. Just him fucking throwing hot chocolate at you. Thanks, asshole. There's someone else who's really fucking bad about it as well. I was just finding that yesterday.
Genocide Kata.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
It's a different experience when you're on the doing side instead of receiving.
Oh yeah. Oh man. 98. That's one thing that I'm thankful about with 98 Geese not having the Reppuken as a projectile. Because when he does, Reppuken.
Ah, yeah.
Oh man, especially if you get it like one of the games where him and Rock are both in it. So they're just throwing them at each other like assholes. There's 2 characters though that make me want to unmute. Terry and Iori. Because I want to hear Terry's stupid bad English. And
yeah,
Iori's fucking evil laugh is just magnificent.
Yeah, you wanna hear Terry's evil laugh and Iori's English.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, I got a question for you. Out of all the chaos you've played so far, keeping in mind that like there are the 5 big KOFs, right?
Yeah.
There's 98, 2002, 11, 13, and 14. You have not played 11 or 13, right?
I have played the demo of 13.
Okay. Out of those, which is your favorite?
Hmm.
And I'm saying this just assuming that your favorite is not one of the bad KOFs like Maximum Impact.
I actually haven't played Maximum Impact. I never got the thing. I never actually got a copy of it because I was really into it, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna freaking look into buying this, and then it never happened. And I just stopped playing fighting games for a while. Which, to be fair, it was a good time to stop playing fighting games because it was around freaking Fighting Jam. So
yeah. Wait, Fighting Jam came out in like 2003, didn't it?
I don't freaking know. I just know that Street Fighter 4 still wasn't released. That it wouldn't be released for like 4 years. So
yeah, the time period during which Soul Calibur and Tekken had to carry the fighting game, fighting game genre. Okay, Capcom Fighting Jam was 2004.
yeah, I remember seeing a lot of videos of that at Maximum Impact. So many videos of those. But yeah, my favorite KOF. I actually think it might be 98 just because Rugal. Like, well, because the thing is, my favorite KOF it will forever be Capcom vs SNK 2.
Yeah.
So really, like, I kind of have to choose between the Lester games because SNK makes really good fighting games and all that, but it's not Capcom vs SNK 2. None of them are really.
Yeah, it's the trouble of like their characters. They make good fighting games, not fantastic. They're classics, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're all-time greats. You know, none of them are among the greatest.
Yeah.
So it's the problem of they make good fighting games, but someone took their characters and made one of the best fighting games of all time.
And so out of the other ones that I played, it's probably 98 because Rugal and Saishu and just having Kim be whole.
Huh, all right. That's interesting. Like, I definitely like 98 and it's a classic, but there are so many characters of mine that like it just feels awkward to play how they played in 98. Like Rio with no projectile, no rapid fire punches. Terry with the ground wave not being a projectile. Yuri without the 1,000 bitch slaps or the donkey kick. I think it's just a really interesting like show of like the differences of where we came in with KOF. You know, what we're used to, I think, is a big part of it.
Yeah.
I'm adjusted to the 2002 versions of the characters, and you're more adjusted to the 98. As for like actual quality, 98's roster is definitely a lot more concise than any other KOF. Other than maybe 11 and 13. Well, 13's roster is more concise. Like, 2002 and 14 are definitely a lot bigger. I haven't played 14, but 2002 definitely seems to have less of a deliberate structure to it. Like, 98, they were definitely aiming for a certain experience with most of these character designs, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't think about the SNK fighting game stories that much, but didn't they also establish that Mr. Big was working for Geese? Or was it the other way around? The Art of Fighting definitely happens before Fatal Fury.
Yeah, from what I remember, Geese beat Mr. Big to become the leader of Southtown or something like that.
Ah, yeah, it makes sense. And that's why Fatal Fury 3 has Rio as a character and he's old and has a beard, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. They need to bring that back. Bearded Rio and the Black Gi. Because, like, Rio is painfully generic in most games. There needs to be something to set them apart. With 98, like, 98's a weird one to talk about because of how relatively basic it is.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, at that time, fighting games came out and it was just like, oh, here's the fighting game. Fight.
Yeah, it was. We were still progressing from, what was it, like karate fighting or whatever? The first one was. We were still progressing from that to, to be before. Right? We were progressing from that to CVS2, really. When you think about it.
Well, we were progressing from that to Blazed Blue and Killer Instinct. Make it as fucking complex as possible. And 98's definitely stuck in like this kind of strange spot where the characters don't feel entirely disparate. Like, there are a lot of characters that feel very similar. There are certainly some weirdos there, like Yamazaki and Rugal, but there's a lot of characters that just feel like slightly different flavors of Shoto, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, fireball, uppercut, moves them across the screen. Like, even Iori's kind of fitting into that. He's got his fireball, he's got his anti-air, and he's got that command grab that moves him across the screen.
Yeah.
And they definitely got better about that with time. Though even to this day, KOF, it doesn't double down on that too hard, though they have been introducing more systems like armor and unblockables with each game, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So modernization comes for everyone. But this was definitely before the days of like Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue and like, you know, all kinds of things where it's like we want to make it explicit the character differences, you know?
Yeah.
Because you play Guilty Gear, you can immediately pick up Slayer and then immediately pick up Potemkin. You will know they are very different characters.
Yeah. Or even like I feel like a better way to differentiate that is that you can pick up Soul and you can pick up Key. They will have similarities, but they are definitely not the same character.
Absolutely not. I bet you, if anyone was watching this, they'd probably have a pretty good guess of what our episode number 2 is going to be about.
Yeah. Dong Dong Never Die.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish that one was. Oh, I bet you there's a Mugen. I bet you there's a Mugen.
Probably.
We could probably do that for an episode. A Mugen of Dong Dong.
Yeah.
KOF 98, like, it's a good game.
Yeah.
It's not a game that I don't think either of us would really be interested in dumping hours upon hours into.
I mean, there's just no, like, I don't think there's any fighting game that I'm really particularly interested in dumping hours upon hours of just lap time.
You've already dumped hours upon hours into Guilty Gear.
Yes, but that wasn't traditional lap time. Like, I can play any...
I never specified lab time.
That is true. But yeah, like, the thing with KOF 98 is that it's just... Well, the version we have, really, it's the fault of the version, because the netcode isn't the best, and so there's nobody playing it. So there is a potential for lots of playtime, but we don't really want to, because the delay-based netcode, while works most of the time, is still delay-based, and yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's also, like, part of the thing is just, like, the pro players stay away from delay-based netcode just because it causes them to drop inputs sometimes, and pro players fucking hate that.
Yeah.
Like, which is not a problem for us because we're already pretty stupid, so we drop inputs pretty frequently. But, like, guys like Sajam and Max, who actually have played at tournament, who actually are important people who play video games seriously, fighting games very seriously, for them, they can't fucking stand it. So they just, no. They'd rather go play it at tournament. And I mean, 98 doesn't even really have tournament anymore. I'm sure that there's a casual or two run at, like, EVO. But even then, I'd imagine if it's run at EVO, it's only in the years where KOF is actually on the main stage, which is pretty rare nowadays.
Yeah, I think maybe the classical EVO has it sometimes, but I'm not sure.
I mean, if they're running a Classics event, they'll definitely throw 98 in there.
They usually are, from what I could tell.
Like, 98 is one of the big... Like, it depends. Are they just saying, like, classic fighting games or classic tournament fighting games? Because I think 2002 had way more of a tournament scene than 98.
I'm not sure.
2002 definitely has more crazy bullshit than 98.
Yeah.
Like, when the tournament scene started, I think it got started on Third Strike, Super Turbo, Marvel 2, and probably 98. I mean, 2002, right?
Yeah, probably.
Like, back then, there wasn't even Pro Tekken play, which is crazy to think about now. Like, would Tekken have even been taken seriously as a pro game at that time?
I think so because like there were already tournaments in 2005, so yeah, probably.
Yeah, and NetherRealm, like the
Net-
NetherRealm
NetherRealm is
fighters in
still not
KI.
NetherRealm is still not taken seriously. So
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I think we're reaching kind of the end of the '98 talk.
yeah,
Further, how much further we can go with that? But I want to mention that I was watching a Sajam video the other day, and at one point he talks about how like for a good long while, and it's getting better now, but for a good long while, if you weren't playing Street Fighter or MVC, if you were a Guilty Gear player, if you were a Mortal Kombat player, if you were whatever, like particularly in the early 2010s, late 2000s, how people would just fucking shit on you if you didn't play Street Fighter or MVC. And he says you just kind of felt like second class citizens. And someone in the chat said, no, the anime fighters are definitely the second class citizens of the FGC. And Sejam just said, anyone who is not playing Street Fighter thinks they are the second class citizens of the FGC. There's just a definite, like, it's calming down because Street Fighter 5 shit the bed so hard, but there's still definitely an elitism against things that aren't Street Fighter, you know?
yeah,
And, like, Tekken has to deal with it, anime has to deal with it, Western fighting games have to deal with it. Like, MVC kind of gets by, but they still aren't as respected as Street Fighter,
yeah.
which is very strange. I feel like I'd have way more respect for an MVC player than a Street Fighter player. Like, you know, that it's a little more difficult. It just seems a little crazier to me.
Yeah, it just boils down to the freaking like, do you respect the basics more, or do you respect having the basics and also doing shit on top of that more? Like,
I mean,
because the thing is, to me, Street Fighter is the basics game. You play Street Fighter, so you get tested on what you know about like footsies and entires and shit like that. But with shit like Marvel and anime games and stuff like that, you don't need as much of the basics as you would need in Street Fighter, but you need to focus on other things at the same time as some of the basics, and the basics can still beat you up if you don't actually know them. So it's a thing of, do you respect having mastered everything everything about the basics, or do you respect having the basics and also knowing more but not as well better?
I think part of the difference simply is just that Street Fighter's combos are reliant a lot more on like one frame links and shit. And so people respect the execution of that more, and really just about no other fighting game outside maybe KOF has so many fucking one frame link reliant combos.
Yeah.
Because in MVC you can just press buttons. And like pressing buttons isn't going to get you nearly as far as a combo, but one frame links are not really a thing in MVC.
Yeah.
So I think that's a part of it. I think another part of it is there's crazy broken shit in every Street Fighter game, but it's easier to find the crazy broken shit in Guilty Gear or MVC or Mortal Kombat than it is to find crazy broken shit in Street Fighter.
Yeah, that is also true.
And I guess there are some people who just think, oh, well, the existence of crazy broken shit means the game is easier to learn. Which I don't think is the truth at all, because you have to consider that your opponent is also doing crazy broken shit.
Yeah.
So you need to have a counter to that. Okay. KOF as a series, like, what would you say would be the number one necessary thing going forward from 14 to make KOF popular?
It depends on whether they want to have more, like, it depends on whether they want to move in the direction that they seem to be moving forward in, or if they want to have their own thing. Because like if they want to move forward with the new character types and stuff like that, then like a really or even more muted version of Ulysses Air Dash would be an interesting addition. Because Ulysses Air Dash isn't actually
But
an air.
there's already dodge rolling and super jumping.
There is, but here's the thing: we could have short hopping, dodge rolling, super jumping, and we could have the middle ground where it's not jump ins, but it's like a super hop, which could be this. It could be a mix-up too.
I mean, the thing is, like, I hate to flip roles and you be the gameplay guy and me be the story guy, but like the KOF characters, the majority of them don't come off as the kinds of people like when you see a character air dash, you kind of associate it with flight, and the majority of KOF characters I can't reasonably see flying.
But here's the thing: in Unist, the air dash isn't actually a dash; it's not a straight line. It's an arc that they do.
Oh,
so
your character just changes their jump arc in midair.
That would be the idea for KOF, because Unis's air dash is like in the middle. They jump up, and then you can do an additional jump that arcs that doesn't go as high. And if KOF were to do this more muted, where it's you just jump and then you could give it a little oomph to go like a couple of pixels forward while also changing the trajectory a bit, it could be interesting.
So like a dive kick without the kick.
Yes, basically, yes.
Ooh, that could be interesting. Don't label it as air dash, just label it as dive. And that could probably give mix-ups to some of the dive kickier characters in that game.
Yeah.
Did Seth come back for 14? I don't remember.
Maybe. I think I remember him, yeah.
As if that character needed more fucking air maneuverability.
Yeah. But so like if they want to go more in the anime route that they seem to be going down with the new characters, they could do that. But if they like to make it more popular,
I think the simplest way to make it popular would be just purdy graphics.
Yeah, purdy graphics and more marketing, really.
More marketing? You know what I'd do?
Yeah.
Get Akuma. Because crossover characters are all the rage in fighting games right now. Akuma, just get Akuma, because Akuma's in every fucking fighting game anyways.
Yeah, but once again, if they add Akuma to any fighting game, chances are I'll probably buy it. So, but I'm biased.
Get Akuma, get Nakaruru and Haomaru both. Not just Nakaruru, get both of them, because Sam Show is actually doing really well in SNK right now.
Yeah.
So take get Sam Show's popularity and transfer it with Haomaru. And make sure that Haomaru still plays like he does in Sam Show.
Yeah.
Or he still has the heavy slash that does a shit ton of damage.
And then we could also do another thing where they could have Kaede from Let's Play and then just do a reboot of that. And they could cross-market it.
Yeah, they could definitely do that. Like, who would be some other crossover characters that fit really? Because I don't think there's anyone they could take from Tekken to it. Okay, I don't think there's anyone from Tekken that could work there.
Hwoarang?
How wrong? Yeah, well, then he'd kind of be stepping on Jun Hun's toes. They kind of already got how wrong.
Now, Hwoarang would be even more of a, like, even more freaking shit. Like, I don't know how to put it. Like, Hwoarang would be even more dependent on his stances, and it would be even harder to go into them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Him. What else? Who else could we have? Like, I don't think they could get anyone from Mortal Kombat just because Mortal Kombat.
I think NetherRealm would gladly hand them out.
No, it's not that it's that they kill.
I don't think that would be the problem. I think the problem is just Japanese developers wouldn't want Mortal Kombat characters.
Who knows? It's a possibility.
I mean, I know Ed Boon is a big fan of most Eastern fighters. He directly fucking said, like a month ago, he wants to make a new Virtual Fighter game.
Good luck to him.
Yeah, just add Ed Boon.
Yeah.
The newest King of Fighters 15 character, Ed Boon. He throws copies of Mortal Kombat vs. DC at you.
No, the game turns off and boots up Mortal Kombat vs. DC.
He's the biggest mix-up character.
No, he has a Shogoku Satsu, but that's what it does. Oh, bloody hell. It
just summons Darkseid?
Yes, it just summons Darkseid.
Oh, man. Oh, if they're going to take anyone from any Western fighter and put them in KOF, I don't know. Like, really, there's only the two NetherRealms, there's Skullgirls, and there's KI for Western developed fighting games. But other than that, it's like, really, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I can't think of any others.
Freaking. Who else could they take just in general, really? Because, like, I don't think they could really take anybody from Guilty Gear or Village Blue.
No.
They could take Enkidu, I guess, from Unist, because he's a punch boy, but...
They could probably take a lot of Unist characters. Or Uniclear, excuse me.
Whatever, under Night in Birth.
Yep.
That's the easiest way.
Is it? I don't know. I feel like Uniclear, there's nothing else that's Uniclear. Even though when you call it Uniclear, it sounds like a fucking cleaning product.
Yeah, it's a window cleaner.
It's the shit I scrub my bathtub with. Oh.
The Uniclear gets rid of all of the warp stuck on this window.
Has there been weeb grease left on your bathtub? Clean it with Uniclear.
That's
why Uniclear belongs in the bathroom.
Uniclear, the cheap way to get clean.
It's cheaper than deodorant, so you can pay for your Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Friggin'. Yeah, anyway. Really, the conclusion of this podcast is just that Akuma should be in every fighting game ever.
Oh, yeah.
Going forward. Just make Akuma, specifically Akuma, freaking like Creative Commons license or whatever, where they can use him, but it's still Capcom's.
Oh, man. Next episode, the ending conclusion is Faust should be in every fighting game. Hey, that'd work. You could throw him into Dive Kick, and that'd work pretty well.
He'd be the weirdest because he only dives forward.
That's true, but if you press the kick button while he's on the ground, he'll throw out a mini.
True.
Dive Kick's got some shit, man. You gotta keep that in mind. It's got dive, and it's got kick. Those are just its buttons. For characters, it's got dive, and it's got kick. I swear to Christ, when that goes on sale, you are playing it with me.
We're playing it for a whole 50 minutes and then refunding it.
I don't know. We could have fun.
We
Johnny
could.
Gat's there. All right. Well, folks, I think we're going to go ahead and call it here.
Yeah.
We'll see you later, ladies and gents, with next week's episode. Or not next week.
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks. 2 weeks to appreciate the pure joy, the pure greatness, the pure fighting game, our Guilty Gear Ixard.
Something like that, yeah.